Welcome back for another video. FPL is back and it's my final team selection for 2026-27. If you're fairly new to the channel, this is my 16th season playing FPL. I've been first in the world before during the 21-22 season, best finish is 3k, and I post short and sweet daily FPL content to help you win your league, so make sure you hit subscribe below. And I'm going to be live for a deadline stream Friday afternoon as well, 4:30 UK time, so make sure you come jump in and join what will probably be absolute chaos in the final hours. I don't know about you guys, but I've tinkered a lot in pre-season with the drafts. My phone library is filled with screenshots. I've tweaked my chip strategy over the last couple of days as well, so I'm going to explain exactly what I'm doing and why. And it's my pleasure to be working with Fantasy Football Scout for the 4th year running, and it's my 9th year as a member. I used them for years before I even started this channel, so it's unbelievable to be working together. They're now doing 7 months off on the annual plan, 7 months free. There's so many FPL tools there, it's impossible to name them all, but the latest additions, literally just yesterday, is the new DEFCON page with all the defensive contributions data you're going to need, and the new stats center with everything else that you need. There's a link below to claim the 7 months free, and it supports the channel as well. Check them out. So let's get into the team. In goal, feeling a little bit more confident than Verbruggen. Villa have lost so many key players this window. Rogers, Konsa's gone now, Tielemans. They've got Anana and João Gomez injured. And they've received a bid for Watkins as well now, who is apparently open to a move, but Villa obviously want to keep hold of him. They're in rebuild mode, so it's perfect timing from a Brighton perspective to play them home. And Villa will make a bunch of signings, given how much their sales have brought in, but that will come later, so it's great to have Verbruggen. He's a pretty comfortable Gameweek 1 pick, plus he's got Leeds home in Gameweek 3, he's got Coventry away in Gameweek 4, where he could be useful as well. There's no 4 mil keepers this season, unlike last year, so 4.5 mil is the minimum you have to spend on a keeper that will play. In defence, it's Calafiori, Maguire and White. So Mosquera was in all my drafts and he's dropped out of the final one. He's going to be safe for Gameweek 1 for sure, possibly beyond that, but I've opted for the fullbacks now, who are potentially a little bit safer. Calafiori does have Nkapia for competition, so there is still an element of risk there. But I'm now looking to wildcard in Gameweek 4, and that's the beauty of wildcard 4. It's only 3 games that I need from Calafiori, and if he starts the season convincingly, he'll stay on the wildcard, or if not, then he gets removed early on anyway. I've got a quote that I think many might have missed on Timber, and obviously this affects why. You never know with Arteta, obviously, like he can lie, but he was asked if Timber will be back before the international break, which is Gameweek 6, and he said the following: "I don't know. We have to wait and see. He needs to start to train with the group in the next week or so, hopefully, and then we see how he progresses from there. But obviously it's been a long-term issue right now. We want to make sure that every step that we take is the right one. He feels right to do that, and it's such an important play for us." To me, that sounds like Timber won't be back the first 3 game weeks, which again is all that I need from White. Konsa can play right back, but I think he was signed primarily to play centre back with Saliba out for months, and he's just like emergency backup and right back. Maguire scored in Man United's final pre-season game. It was a Bruno assist off a corner. He's actually another one that points me towards wildcard 4. De Ligt is actually back in training now, so he could come back into the team after a few games. So Maguire probably not a long-term solution. But that aside, Man United face Man City in Gameweek 4, so Maguire would obviously go before that game, as would Mbeumo and maybe Bruno. So yeah, the midfield is Mbeumo, Bruno, Szoboszlai, and Dye and Gross. I do think double Man United defence is a really nice setup as well. But for me, the upside of those opening 2 fixtures from an attacking perspective is huge, so it's double Man United attack. Hull are going to be a team to target all season, I sense. They were the 2nd worst team for expected goals conceded in the Championship, and then Man United are playing Ipswich, Old Trafford in Gameweek 2 as well. One spot in the midfield I've gone back and forth on is Szoboszlai versus Zolis. You could even throw Ødegaard in the conversation as well, like if he's fully fit and available this season, he's going to be so good for 6.5. Zolis' numbers at Club Brugge were insane, 88 goal involvements in 108 games. And I know what you're thinking, can he do it in the Prem though? Like, even half that output would make him such an obvious pick for 6.5 mil. It's especially appealing on wildcard 4 as well, because if you're wrong about him, or let's say Arsenal make a big left wing signing, then it's easy to move him on after the 3 games. And he is 0.5 mil cheaper than Szoboszlai, so that could be gross up to a 6 mil mid, or maybe a keeper to a 5 mil one like Rufs or Sanchez. And Dye and Gross, not the most glamorous picks, but they are cheap and cheerful. They're both on pens, Gross on free kicks and corners as well. Scout have got a really useful page that shows you set piece takers for every team. So direct free kicks, indirect free kicks, corners, penalties. All these roles that players have in a team slightly increase their floor or raise their floor. Like if you think about it, every time a corner goes in or a free kick's taken or a penalty taken, there's a chance of a goal involvement there. So when you've got players that have got multiple duties like these guys, plus Szoboszlai and Bruno, other examples, they can do very well in terms of average points over a season. Now up top is where I've made a major change, and I'm not sure this is going to go down well, but hear me out a sec, guys. So João Pedro, he's been a staple in all my drafts this pre-season, and I'm looking to take the risk without him. He's left the team. Now let me explain what's led to this bold call. So my gut feeling is that when we get to Gameweek 4, the temptation to wildcard is going to be too strong for a lot of managers, millions potentially. I was looking at the projections ticker on my site, and Chelsea, they start with Hull home. Most people only got one, maybe two Chelsea players, and tripling up that week is a huge opportunity with such a good fixture. You know, maybe hopping off Bruno to Palmer, maybe bringing in Rodgers as well. Liverpool have got a really strong run as well from there. We'll have a better idea of their best picks. You know, is it Xhaka in defence for 5 mil? Is Wirtz looking better this season? Isak, someone else? We'll also have a better idea of the best Man City players as well. They're literally top of the ticker from there for projected goals. Maybe Vardy's nailed for 5.5 mil in centre-back. Maybe Anderson is ticking along with Defcons, some goal involvements, and he's worth the 6.5 mil. And then the other big one, Konsa to Arsenal. By Gameweek 4 on the wildcard, he'll be Arsenal's nailed-on right centre-back is my prediction. Saliba's out for months, so wildcard 4 also gives you 4.5 mil Konsa. He might be 4.6 mil by then, I don't care. It's a game-breaking price. Arsenal's defence is going to be so highly owned that you're going to need to own a second Arsenal defender, or you'll lose rank for every clean sheet they keep. So yeah, maybe Bruno to Palmer also gives me Gabriel with Konsa, right? So that's my reasoning for why I'm heavily favouring wildcard 4 the more I think about it. And that brings me back to João Pedro. So he's got Arsenal in Game Week 3 away, where I'd bench him. So do you really want to spend 7.5 mil for 2 game weeks? Like, is there any other forwards that have got good short-term fixtures? Sunderland tick that box. They've got newly promoted Ipswich Game Week 1. They've got Fulham home Game Week 2. They've got Brentford in Game Week 3, but I could bench Brobby if I want for that one. So Brobby's who I'm looking at. By dropping João Pedro to Brobby for that short-term play, it frees up the money to upgrade a 4.5 mil defender from my last draft all the way up to Y, and a 4.5 mil defender up to Ballard. White is a short-term play as well. My best guess is maybe around Game Week 4 he could become a problem. I recognise it could be sooner, it could be later, but he can be benched worst case scenario. And lastly, just going back to the wildcard 4 point. If I can roll the opening 3 game weeks and then wildcard, in theory I can set my team up to continue rolling a couple more game weeks to get up to 5 free transfers, which would be a really strong position. That should always be the goal, to get to 5, but it's very hard in FPL to roll that many, and something always goes wrong, doesn't it? So let's see. But let's talk about captaincy as well. The armband is on Bruno. Haaland's not had a pre-season besides 50 odd minutes in the Community Shield. Obviously he could haul against Bournemouth despite that, it wouldn't surprise me. Doku is out injured as well though, which isn't great. Savinho is being linked to Spurs. I think there is a valid argument to going without Haaland entirely, given he's the most expensive player in history, and I'm seeing more and more drafts pop up with that setup. It's crazy what you can do spreading the money around. Like, Haaland needs to average a goal a game to be worth that price tag. And again, don't get me wrong, it's not out of the question that he does that at the start of the season. Over his career, August is his most productive month in terms of goals scored, followed by September. 25 goals in 17 games in August. So yeah, he actually does average over a goal per game this month. Same in September. Actually, even October, just about 18 and 17. So yeah, the bench is now Kinski, Calvert-Lewin, Ballard and Diop. Ballard's DEFCON numbers were top last season. 51.7 hit rate, 24 starts. So he earned himself an additional 30 points just from DEFCONs. And he carries that aerial threat of set pieces, doesn't he? Alex Volo made a lovely chart here which shows how Ballard is in a league of his own in some aspects. Diop versus O'Shea versus Davies is a debatable one for the 4 mil Ipswich defender. O'Shea's been playing right back in pre-season, so it could be Greaves pairing in centre back with Diop. Diop's DEFCON numbers actually aren't the best either, but DEFCON is more reliable than banking on a goal involvement, especially from a promoted fullback, so I've opted for the new signing Diop. Going back to the bench boost to summarise and wrap this up. It's not the best bench you'll ever see. I would take 10 points. What would you be happy with on a bench boost in a single game week? Like, if one of Kinski, Ballard or Diop keeps a clean sheet or DCL scores, that's enough for me. And when I get to the Gameweek 4 wildcard, the chip's already played, so I don't have to think about spending that extra 0.5 mil on a second keeper. As I said at the very start of the video, the minimum you can spend on a keeper that will play is 4.5 mil. I can kill that spot with a 4 mil keeper on the wildcard, even if they don't ever play. It's just one set and forget starting keeper. And obviously the same goes for the bench in general. I can shift funds to the starting 11 when I wildcard later, which will give me a stronger 11 as opposed to having to balance the bench. So this strategy is immediately freeing me up 0.5 mil minimum later on. I have looked at the Gameweek 2 bench boost as well. If you haven't watched the top all-time managers video from earlier today, there's 270 managers involved in that, over 400 top 10k finishes, and loads of them are going for the Gameweek 2 bench boost instead of Gameweek 1, so it does have legs. It's basically a gamble on Coventry doing well against Hull. Gameweek 1 is more of a spread risk. Both weeks will probably do fine. One other thing I forgot to mention, I hadn't written this down, it's just come to me, but I was having a look at what I've done past seasons in terms of when I've used my first wildcard, and it's pretty much always Gameweek 4, 5 or 6. And what I do every season is I start the season without a particular week in mind, and I just think, let's see how far I can go before I need it. And just going back to the point I made at the start of this video, I think there's an opportunity. If you commit to a specific week, you can target those good early fixtures, like Sunderland against Ipswich, like Man United against Hull, Arsenal against Coventry Gameweek 1 with some players that could be problems later like White or Calafiori, but they're okay now. So yeah, let's see how things play out with a strategy that is set in stone this time round. A bit more confident about what I'm going to do. Make sure you subscribe so you can follow my team throughout the season. And check out Fantasy Football Scout with that link below. We're going to be live for a deadline stream Friday afternoon. See you then.